Welcome to Live, Life Inspired Views for Every Day. My name is Chris Meyer, and I'm a curious soul. This week, I'm going to talk about hard things. We moved just 2 months ago from Iowa to Minnesota. On January 4th, Perry, Iowa, experienced a mass shooting in the school. It was personal because it happened in Iowa, where we used to live, and because one of the high school counselors is my former student, and because a good friend has a best friend who teaches there and whose children were close by when the incident happened. It's personal because the more and more we hear of these kinds of tragedies, the more we know it could happen to us. Most of us have stopped saying, it couldn't happen here, because we know too well now that it could. And so, what do we do with that knowledge? What do we really do? I believe there are several things we can do. Number one, we can treat everyone around us as people of value, whether we like them or not, whether we agree with their political or otherwise ways of believing or living. We can model acceptance and love. Remember this important African proverb: the child who is not embraced by the village will burn it down to feel its warmth. Number two, we can practice. Yes, we can practice in our minds what it might be like to experience that kind of tragedy, how we might respond, how we would deal with the aftermath of it. We have all experienced the fire and tornado drills, and some of us the atomic bomb drills of our days in school. So, in our mind, we might find it helpful to practice. And number three, we can be grateful for as many things as we can, constantly reinforcing the habit of gratitude, which will lay the foundation to recovery. When I was diagnosed with cancer in 2005, I practiced death. I imagined the dying process, seeing the light that is so often described, seeing those I loved who had died before. I imagined the funeral, watching my husband and children walk into the pews. I never dwelt on those imaginings, but practiced so I wouldn't be caught off guard and then say, I never imagined it would happen to me. I did the practice so I might take control of my fear of dying if it came to that. And I found peace. When I talk to people who are dealing with fear, I always encourage them to go to the fear, look at it, talk to it, and tell it that you will not allow it to become bigger than you. When fear is inside our head, undefined, it is so big and dark and scary. But when we describe it, when the words are released from our mind and put out in front of us, we can take control. We can size it, color it, shape it. Then we can tell it where to go. Tell it to go on under a rock or in a box. The mind is a powerful thing, but you teach it to respond to the message you give. That is what self talk can do, and reframing, over and over until it becomes a habit, a way of thinking. This doesn't mean we can avoid being devastated by some tragedy that happens and rocks our world, but it does allow us to prepare ourselves just a bit so we can eventually find a path as we go through the emotions of a tragic situation. Getting our footing takes time, but it is always possible. My friend Sherry Lovery has a company she began after the Columbine school shooting 20 years ago in Colorado. It's called Crisis Management Institute. You can Google it at cmionline.com. Sherry has debriefed schools all over the United States since Columbine, going to New York City after 9/11, Sandy Hook, Pennsylvania Amish School, Vivaldi, Texas, to name just a few. She graciously has zoomed in to talk with our graduate students in counseling at Buena Vista University, where I teach each summer. She gives tools which can be used as walking sticks to navigate the emotions involved in picking up the pieces and finding a way through the devastation left after that incident is over. As we look within ourselves to prepare for things not seen, we can use a technique I learned in counseling years ago. Ask yourself, what's worse than that? After you find an answer, ask yourself the same question of that answer. What's worse than that? Find an answer and continue to ask the question, what's worse than that? When you get to the bottom of the possibilities, then you know you can take more than you think and go forward from it someday. That is being resilient. It takes time, support, and courage, but the ingredients are all there within you. Hmm. So this week, on your bathroom mirror, write, I will practice courage and gratitude so that I can be grounded in hope. Join me next Monday for Live, Life-Inspired Views for Every Day. I'm Chris Meyer, and I'm a curious soul.